Hey folks, this is Eric Walls, field agronomist with Sun Ag. Another week of heat and we're out here in a cornfield suffering through it, but we need to be out here looking for disease, insects, checking for pollination success, and then also taking a look for nutrient deficiencies. Would have thought by now we would have had maybe more gray leaf spots showing up. That really hasn't been the case. We have seen some physoderma out here, bacterial leaf streak. So it kind of looks similar to the gray leaf spot, but the edges are a little more wavy, so it's not as defined and it's not always contained within the veins of that leaf. Also, to make note of tassel wrap, uh, we see it in this hybrid among others, but you can note that it is coming out of it. So I know we saw a tassel wrap last year, weren't really sure what would happen. Yields seemed to be not an issue, didn't seem to affect the yields. So just want to look at the pollination success that we've had with the 110 day. There's some gaps in here on all 3 years. Everything except the tip of the ears looks like it has pollinated decent. Um, and I would put this plant at the R2 growth stage, which would be blister. Same with the 112 day. A little less of the tip's been pollinated on this, on all 3 of them. So again, these are all planted the same day, but see a little bit difference on their flowering date. And then finally, the 117 day, you can tell it's a little further behind. I would probably call this at the blister, or at the blister stage as well. The 3 years that we grabbed at random, the tips on them, at least the outside or the final 2 inches on each one of them, has not pollinated. But there was still pollen dropping in this hybrid, so not to say that it won't pollinate, but at this point it has not. Finally, I want to take a look at a hybrid that was planted 3 weeks after that, so around May 11th. It's further behind. It's 114 day corn. What we're seeing in the middle of the ear has pollinated pretty well, but our butt and our tips have not pollinated. So we know that the butt of the ear, those silks emerge first. This probably indicates that there wasn't pollen available at that time, so those silks got longer. They're on the underside of that massive pile of silks. The next ones to emerge are in the middle, and then finally the ones at the tip. And I would guess just the ones on the tip haven't pollinated just because they've just emerged. So not concerned there. This one, the tassels look great yet. They're not shot by any means. So there's still plenty of pollen out there. So I expect these will pollinate as well, but hopefully better than what some of these other ones have in the area. We're not stressed for moisture. Have you noticed, we've been 90 to 92 degrees and you don't see cornfields all rolled up. So just shows you that corn can grow into the low 90s, but only under conditions where water is not lacking. So something else we need to be looking at while we're out here, other than diseases or insects, would be nutrient deficiencies at this time. This year we've had more rain than usual during the growing season, unfortunately after many of our nitrogen applications. So seeing some nitrogen deficiency in this field. You can see nitrogen deficiency will start at the midrib and work its way out. Some fields have just been underwater too long, so the nitrogen may be gone. The examples we're showing right now had nitrogen applied just a few weeks ago with our easy drop system. I think close to 65, 70 pounds an acre. So they've had a good shot recently, but it was too late to rectify what losses had already been there. So I'm going to count how many nodes we have on this plant, and then we'll stage the plant as well. So currently I have 13, 14 nodes. But to stage this in the reproductive, we need to find a trifoliate with a mature trifoliate. So we'll start at this one right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I do have a pod there it's at least 3/16 of an inch long. So this plant would be at R3. As we move down further, we actually see some full length pods when we get to this stage. once we have a pod 3/4 of an inch long on one of the top 4 nodes, that'll be our 4 stage. So can't see some pods that are getting some size to them, but there's no beans in them really yet. So still in the pod stage. We're not setting any seeds yet really to speak of. Not a lot of pods on this plant though. If we look at that, these were April planted, April 24th, and this is a three maturity. But we're still growing. We still have some new flowers going. Hopefully we can get up to about 22 nodes. Hopefully 22 or more. So more than halfway there. Um, Checking for diseases, insects. I didn't see any real disease that we could do anything about. I believe it was sprayed within the past week, fungicide, insecticide. So that could be a good reason why we're not seeing many insects out here. Also need to look for any nutrient deficiencies in the plants while we're out here. Potassium uptake increases quite a bit in the reproductive stages for soybeans. So finally, keep working on the weeds out there. It's been a trying summer with all the delays we've had with rain. So weeds have gotten quite big, and I can't promise you that the herbicides are going to take them out, even at the higher rates that we're putting on. So consider what you're going to use next year for herbicide tolerance in those beans or corn fields. If you've been non-GMO, or if you've been enlist beans or extend flex beans, whatever you've been, if that program's not working out, if you see one that's working better on your own farm or on a neighbor's farm, or ask myself or another sales agronomist about that. Now's the time to be checking that over and seeing what worked and what didn't. That'll wrap up this week's edition of Fieldside Chats. Appreciate you watching and reaching out with any of your questions or comments about any topics that we should be covering. Hopefully it's a little bit cooler next week and we can get out there together and look at more fields. We'll see you then. Thanks.